March 23rd, 2026. Right about sunset. 6:09 p.m. Sunset's in about an hour and a half, and I'll be out there enjoying that and soaking that up and thinking and sending you love. Yeah. All of you lights, all of you loves. Sending you my love. Yeah. Just kicking it. Okay. And this is chapter 6 of 13. And it'll be the years 19. And I appreciate anybody who's listening, really. This is more for posterity and me more than anything. This is going to be 1987 to 1992. 1987 to 1992. And that was a distance, but I'll try to do it as quick as possible and rip the band-aid off and get to the highlights, because that's what the Spirit would want me to do. And this book is already long-winded enough. Totally. But it is for posterity, just to share my experience. What I witnessed personally, my perspective, totally. You don't have to agree with me, and if you don't like, click off. It's okay with me. It's really just my story, and I promised myself that I would tell it in my way. Free to humanity, so we can learn. If anything. If anything. While I have my coffee. Anyway. In the last chapter, I'm sure I went over the birth of my son and what happened when they butchered his face. And we ended up homeless, going down to San Diego, looking for a surgeon for him to fix his face. And ended up in Chula Vista, San Diego, National City. Not a good place, believe me. And Jeffrey was no help to me, really. And I got pregnant with Jakey right when I lost all the weight. I got down to 125 pounds from like 170 or 160. I gained a lot of weight with Lucas. He was a big kid. And so I had to lose it. And the day I weighed in at 125, again, I found out I'm pregnant with Jacob. Oh, goodness gracious. I tell you. And at that time, in between Luke and Jake, I was using. I was following that addiction pattern, still then, being with a dysfunctional man, Jeffrey, who treated me like crap, but I had his kids, see? So I kind of had to stay with him. And now Jake came along, but right away, he had problems. He had transposition of the main arteries. He had to have open heart surgery at 3 days old. And he survived it, though they had to freeze him. And he survived that surgery, my Jakey. And Lucas was still healing. Actually, when 3 weeks went by between Jacob getting out from open heart surgery, getting out of UCLA, is where Jacob had his surgery. Getting out of UCLA, and then Lucas having his surgery was only a 3-week distance. And the surgery that Luke had to have was an immensity, because they had to totally repair his cleft palate. And the damage done by Shumley. I'm not going to say the name because I signed a non-disclosure, so I'll just say Shumley. Anyway, so this major surgery, we found a surgeon in Orange County, our attorney, Norman Saucedo in San Jose. And he found us Dr. Reinish at Children's Hospital, LA, to repair Lucas's face because it was immense. And the doctors in San Diego didn't know how to clean the mess. So we moved to Orange County, and I found out, obviously, I was pregnant with Jakey, and they did his surgery at UCLA. Lucas got his surgeon at Children's Hospital of LA, Dr. Reinish. Dr. Reinish did a miracle with Lucas's face. He truly did. And I was very grateful for it. And Lucas had gone through 3 different major surgeries to have his whole cleft palate fixed and his face fixed. And Lucas survived his open heart surgery. Lucas got through his really major face revision. And I don't know how I got through it, outside of the grace of the heavenly that was always with me and helping me to have faith no matter what came my way. And I was homeless with the kids at this time. Jacob was 6 months old. We were in Orange County. Jacob was born at Orange County Hospital. They're in Orange, California. And Lucas was getting all his surgery at that time, getting his face fixed and everything. And I was homeless with Jeffrey, and he really wasn't much good at anything because he was a major addict, and he couldn't stop it. And I knew I had to somehow get through. And so, we ended up at a homeless, and there was a few homeless shelters we were at, and hotels in Southern California. My family, my dad wouldn't help me. My brother Clifford, who kept my mom's house, wouldn't help me at all. My brother David came and visited me, and kind of made me take him to Disneyland and borrowed $100 that I didn't have, and never gave it back to me. And I ended up in the streets with Luke and Jake. And Jeffrey got arrested for some bunk warrant or something. Or some warrant that he had. He did time for that. I forget what it was about. But anyway, I was there alone with my babies. Or I was pregnant with Jacob. Jeff was there afterwards. I know I'm kind of messing up the story, but anyway, when I was homeless in Orange County and he got arrested, I had no place to stay at that moment. And I guess I should tell the story because it was a pinnacle moment for me. And I didn't know where. I had no car, no transportation. I was staying in a shelter. I had to leave right away because of Jeffrey. And luckily, there was a guy there who had a car who just happened to be there. And he took me and the kids and put all of our stuff in the trunk. And he parked across the street from a Burger King in Orange County. And he said, I'm going to try to find a place for you and the kids to stay. Okay? You just stay here in the car with the kids, you'll be okay for the time being. And I had supplies for the kids, formula and food and stuff. But I was scared as all get. And my family, nowhere to be had, really. And so I'm sitting there in the car, just waiting for the police, just spot me and the kids in the car. I was so scared. I remember I was so scared. And so the Heavenly Holy Spirit inspired me to walk over to the Burger King. Maybe ask somebody for $1 so I could get a drink and hang out there rather than sitting in this car waiting. And I left the guy a note saying, hey, when you find a place, I'm over there at Burger King. I haven't left. I'm right there. I'm across the street with my babies, trying to get shelter out of the car. But anyway, so I walk over to the Burger King, put the kids in their double stroller, and I had my Bible right on top of it. And I walked over to the Burger King, and as I walked in, there were 2 gentlemen walking out. And the first gentleman that came my way, I asked him, I said, sir, is there any possibility that you have $1? I just need to get a soda or a drink of water so I can hang out for a while. And he looked at me in such disgust. And he said to me, he said, you see that garbage can outside? I say, yes, sir. And he says, go and get a can or a bottle and you wash it out in the bathroom and get yourself some water. And the guy behind him is like totally like, what are you saying to her? What is wrong with you? And I said, sir, I said, God bless you anyway. I just thought I would ask. I said, I'm sure that they'll give me at least a cup of water in there. I'll just keep walking forward. Bless you, I just thought. He said, what did you say to me? He turned around even, and his friend's looking. And I said, God bless you anyway. I just thought I'd ask. I said, I'm sure they'll help me in there. He said, no, they won't. And he turns around and starts following me in the restaurant. No, he won't. No, they won't. They won't help you. And his friend's going, hey, dude, leave her alone. Leave her alone, man. You're walking out. Keep walking. And I just kept walking in faith, and I walked right up to the counter, and I said, hey, can I get a cup of water, please? And they said, of course. Take a rest and have a seat with your babies. Yeah. So I'm sitting in the restaurant, and I'm, having my water, and my babies are sleeping. I got them, fed and tucked in, taken care of. And there was a a basketball game playing right in the Burger King. They had them. And so a big crowd of people watching the game, having fun. And I went over there. I said, hey, how's it going there? And luckily they smoked. So I was able to have an excuse to go over. Do you got another smoke? Do you got another smoke? Somebody? Yeah. And of course, somebody was great. Sure, here you go, have a seat, So I brought the babies over, and I'm sitting there with them, and I explained my situation. And a nice gentleman, I can't remember his name right now. I wish I could. A guy about my age, in his 20s. And he got me a hotel for that night. Just by the grace of God Almighty. He was right there. And got a place for me and my kids to be in safety. And I called my brother Davey. I said, hey, I need to get a hotel. Can you please send me the $100 that I loaned you just 2 weeks ago, dude? I really need it now. And he's like, no, I'm sorry, I can't help you. No, I And I didn't know where Jeff was in that moment. He was in jail, as far as I knew. I didn't have a clue. And, but the Heavenly saw me through. That's the point I'm trying to make here. The Heavenly saw me through. And I was okay through it, and so were my babies. And Lucas, from there, we got into the shelter there in Orange. Or no, Santa Ana. It was Santa Ana. I remember. It was good. It was a good shelter. And they gave us 3 months to stay there and get our CHIT, C-H-I-T, I'm not cussing, together. Get it together, get a job, get an apartment. You got 3 months. That's it. But you get it for free and you get help with food. It was really cool. It was a good program. And you had to work on, obviously, be sober, right? Well, I was working on that, but Jeffrey was having a hard time. I was working. I got 2 jobs. I left the house at 4:30 in the morning, and I didn't get back until 9:30, 10:30 at night, if I was lucky. And I had 1 bus to Irvine and 1 all the way back to Santa Ana. Start my second job at 3. And I was walking one day, not far from the shelter. I think Jeff was with the kids. I didn't have the kids with me. Oh, my heart was heavy because Jeffrey, I'm trying to save money and get us a place and work and take care of the kids and him with his addiction and mine too. I had to drop all mine. I had to earn it the hard way, cold turkey. But I did it through the grace of God Almighty. Because I was walking one day and there was this church and they were singing this song about going home. Just singing the song, and it drew me in. And I hadn't been in a church since Pierre Gallardo when I was 12. Been 15 years. I was 27 at this time. And I was drawn into the church from this song. This music drew me in. And the song was so heavenly about going home. And I said, I want to go home again. I want to go home. I need lifting out of this darkness, out of these addictions and the streets and the homelessness and the desperation of my family not helping me. You know, I need help. I need your help, Heavenly, badly. And I heard that Heavenly Creator Elohim, neither female nor male, just a being. And I got a vision in my mind of a hand coming down from heaven as I'm singing this along with this song. And I see this hand come down. And Heavenly Creator said, grab on. Hang on. Just hang on. I got you. I got you. Just don't let go. Don't let go. I got you, baby. I'll help you. Just don't, I won't let go of you. Even if you let go of me, I won't let go of you. I promise you. It's not over, and I'm with you. So, I left with, such bliss. My addiction was erased. Absolutely. Wasn't even a question after that. Before I was questioning because Jeff was struggling. But anyway, so I held on to that hand of God whenever I felt weak, and I remembered his hand coming down for me, and I held on. Okay, how do I get through this one? Okay, so I was driving I was on the bus going to work one day, and my 2 jobs. Oh, God. And I'm reading I'm praying. I'm reading my paper, going on, and someone said, just pray. And I sat there with the heavenly within me, and I silently prayed, Heavenly, Holy, I need a miracle today. I need a job. One job that'll take care of my whole family. I promise I will work hard just at that one job. I can't do this 4:30 to 9:30 anymore, and I need a place to stay, by the way. I had to add that in, okay? And I went to Pactel Cellular, where I was working at that time. And my second job was back in Santa Ana. But same, sales and stuff, marketing. And I'm reading the paper. My friend Linda LaGuardia was working with me. She was my friend. She had a really cool Mustang. She was a good friend to me. And there, boom, I'm opening the paper at my lunchtime, and there is a job, an ad for a job, because I'm looking for one job, right? And this ad came out the paper and grabbed me. Totally. And of course, I called right away. And UTI was right down the street. UTI wasn't very far away, and I got an interview for 4 o'clock that day. And I got off work at 3. I didn't have to show up, to my other job. I think, like 2 or 3, something like that. And sure enough, I went that day, and I got that job at United Telemanagement. This was during the time of the Ma Bell breakup, and Cellular was just coming out then. Can You Hear Me Now was big. Jeff at least got a job doing tower tracking and testing the systems. And that was really trippy to go to Cellular at that point too in history. That was really trippy. What am I up to? 19? Yeah. And because I'm trying to get up to 1992. So I got that job. It got us insurance. It got us our apartment. And a heavenly blessing, my prayers were answered with a bullet. And I got great insurance. But shortly after this, I also got, on Thanksgiving Day, an AIDS diagnosis, in a way. I got AIDS and HIV. Jeffrey, I got him in rehab. Right when I got my apartment, I said, hey, you either get in or into rehab and get sober, because that's what I'm doing. I already quit. It was taking him a bit. I said, but here's an opportunity. It's either you get in there or you hit the streets. Buddy, I can't do this with you using. No. And so he went into rehab on my insurance, which was cool with me as long as he got sober and he could take care of the kids and be straight about it. I mean, we had sick kids. Lucas was still going through some of his surgeries. He was about done. And Jacob, was just 6 months since his open heart surgery. And he finally got stable. So I needed Jeffrey stable too. And I was. And I did really good in my job. Awesome. I managed my own division. And then I went into outside sales and moved up to President's Club, running my own marketing division and stuff. And being an outside rep too. My whole territory was Orange County. And I was in President's Club, and it's not about me or ego, it's just my experience, okay? But anyway, I love my job. I loved what I did. And I got this AIDS diagnosis on Thanksgiving Day of all times. Jeff came home from rehab for Thanksgiving dinner with me and Luke and Jake. And Jeffrey's sitting there across the table from me. And something told me, because he had this really weird rash, and the doctors were trying to identify where it came from. And something told me, I just knew. Jeff, you have AIDS, don't you? Right there at the Thanksgiving table. And he turned about 6 shades of green on me. Definitely. And Jeffrey he said, how did you know? And I said, I don't know, I just know. And he said, well, you and the kids don't have it. Don't worry. No, don't worry. No, don't get tested. No, the doctors told me that you and the kids are fine. Don't worry. I'm going, and I'm looking at my babies on either side of the table, looking at me going, And of course, they're too little to know. Jacob's only 6 months old, and Lucas is only 2.5. And I'm going, God, how do I handle that? I just got a huge blessing, and now it just got shot too. Good God, good. But I managed to keep my job, and I managed, and Jeff kept his sobriety, and he was really big into AA. I was really into ACA, Adult Children of Alcoholics, to learn about dysfunctionality in families and what happened to me, what made the addict in me. And, we made a life there for a little while. And then Jake got real sick, not a few months into our apartment. Not a few months after I took us to Orange County Health Department. It was Thanksgiving that I found out. I got us tested. It lasted 2 weeks before I couldn't, I had to have us tested. I couldn't stand it. I wasn't buying his lie that the doctor said no why. So, I went down and had me and the kids tested, and that was 2 weeks before Christmas. I had to wait that long 2 weeks. Back then, you had to wait 2 weeks for the result. It was agonizing. And I went to the health department alone. I was alone that day. And sure as chips, they said, you and Jake and Jeff, obviously, well, I knew Jeff had AIDS. You and Jacob, here's a death certificate right there. In that day and age, in 1989, that was a death sentence then. That's it. All you had was AZT and DDI, and the cure was worse than the cause, actually. And to realize and recognize, and I've said it many times in this video, we got it from Anthony Fauci, who turned it into COVID country. And a lot of people aren't saying or see what has been done to humanity in that regard. With my family, through no fault of their own. Just because Jeffrey was an addict didn't mean he deserved it. And an innocent woman like me who got it, and her kid, she had to watch him suffer merciless after surviving open heart surgery. Yeah. So anyway, I stayed sober, and so did Jeffrey, all through Jacob's illness. Up until obviously, March 16th, 1992. And that brings us there, at least. We're getting there.